Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning. Today I would like to talk about one topic, energy performance contracting. This is the topic that often been talked about implementing large-scale energy saving projects or large-scale retrofitting projects for energy saving purposes. Now let me open my slide. Okay, my name is Zaini bin Abdul Wahab. Okay, I'm the committee member of Malaysia Association of Energy Service Companies, or known in Malaysia as MESCO, MESCO. I've been the committee member for the past from 2012, elected committee member until today. I'm holding the position of the government liaison portfolio and also the treasurer of the MESCO. So today I would like to talk about EPC. I would like to introduce to you what is EPC all about. Okay, I'll talk about the first part of my sharing today is the overview of energy service market globally, and then I will introduce to you what is ESCO and what is EPC and how to implement EPC project in general. And lastly, I will share about what are the potential key success factors in EPC project implementation. If you look globally, there are EPC is not something new when it comes to implementations. In general, it started or pioneered in the US. Okay, based on this report in 2013, it shows that the size of energy service market in the US, mainly EPC implementations, is about 5 billion ringgit. 5 billion US dollar. Okay, 5 billion US dollar in the US in 2013. And then in Europe, if you look at example, in Europe, in the UK and Germany and France, in UK it's about 0.3 billion, Germany is about 4 to 5 billion, and then France is about 4 to 5 billion as well. And one interesting part in Europe, basically, in Europe, they adopted a common, some kind of mechanism. They call it under the Euro contract. They have a common mechanism. They got common contract template and all that. So they have a streamlined. They have streamlined the process to be adopted by each country in the EU members. In China, they started EPC not long ago, but in terms of market size, of course, China is bigger economy, okay, very big economy. Even their total size of EPC energy service market size when it comes to investment is even bigger than the US. It's about 4 to 7 billion US dollar in 2013, based on this report in 2013. I haven't got the number from other country, but we know that in EPC or energy service has been implemented in Japan, South Korea, Thailand, also in Australia and other countries as well. Therefore, it's something that we as Malaysia, we need to explore this potential in this mechanism. Something interesting about the EPC contract in the US, okay? I got this information from the former president of the NISCO, the Association of the Energy Company in US, Mr. Thomas Kedrison. If you look at here, in US they call it ESPC because they want to show the difference between engineering procurement contract, EPC, and energy saving performance contract. That's why they call it ESPC. If you look at here, in different states, okay, the length of the contract is very long. If you can see here, the shortest is 7 years, and the longest up to 35 years. And mainly this one, why they make it such a long time? Mainly the reason, because most of the EPC started in US, they did it at the government facilities. So for government, it's no issue at all if the contract is long as the government don't spend the money. Later I explain to you why in EPC, government don't have to spend any cents of their money to get the project implemented. Okay, that's why if you look at in US, this contract is very long. So the whole idea, the way they look at it, when I talked to Mr. Thomas Kedrison, when I met him a few years ago, the main reason, because in the US, the government sector, they don't think about how to make money from EPC. they look beyond than just making money from EPC. Because the government have their own revenue, right? They got the money allocated for them from the revenue tax and all that. And EPC is another model where they can create economic activity. So they allow the private sector to invest, to change their equipment in the building, without government spending any money, and then make sure, and then as a result of that, the building become more energy efficient. At the same time, they create economic activity, and then same time, when they created economic activity, they will create jobs. Okay, means that, for example, if you want to implement an EPC project, you have energy auditor, you have the supplier, you have the contractor, you have the M&V specialist, you have the whole group of support services required to implement EPC project. So that's why the market become big. That's why in the US, they don't mind if they do EPC at the government building. Doesn't matter the contract is long or short. It's long, it's okay, because at the end of the day, EPC doesn't involve single cent of the money from the government. I explain to you later why EPC model doesn't involve any money from the government. The government has to spend money to get the project implemented. Okay, if you look, this is very interesting in the US. The contract is very long, up to 35 years. In fact, they have to amend, some states did amend their law to ensure EPC can happen in the US. Okay, so what is EPC? From ESCO definition, the definition is very simple. It's a contractual agreement between the beneficiary and the energy service provider or any service company, or they call it as ESCO, to deliver improved energy efficiency, where investment shall be recouped from the returns of energy efficiency services based on the agreed level of performance. So the payment to the energy service provider, means that to the ESCO, are made against the term and condition of the contract agreed by all parties in the contract. Means that, I can explain it better and in much simpler words, okay? Means that the government wanted to implement energy saving projects in their facility, or they want to change their old chiller, for example, aircon system. They have the old one, they want to change the new one. They want to change to the efficient one. So what will happen? The ESCO will come on board, okay? And then they change everything at their own cost. They did everything from the beginning, from the identifying the potential energy audit. They implemented the projects, and then they fund the project, and then the payment to the ESCO only from the saving will be generated from the projects. This is different compared to PFI, or private financing initiative. PFI model is the model where government just don't spend the upfront money, but whoever get the contractor or company that doing the PFI so-called initiative, PFI, okay, the projects, government pay them through a concession over the years, 20 years, 15 years, and so on. In EPC, okay, government don't even spend the upfront money. Government don't even spend the money from after that, because how the company get back the money from the investment of the projects? They get back the money from the saving that they must ensure to be achieved from the saving, purely from the saving. And sometimes, in some cases, the saving can be shared between the company and the building owner or the government. But I know some country in US or even in Europe, government don't want to share. They just let the company recoup the investment, make some profit, after that hand over to the government. Okay, so this is basically EPC. That's EPC. Very simple model, but not simple to implement. Understood? Okay. And then what is ESCO? ESCO, okay. ESCO is a company. It is an entity that implements energy efficiency services for installation or a facility. Okay, and then the ESCO, they will develop, design, and build, and also finance the projects. Okay? This is something that different compared to normal supplier or normal service provider. ESCO finance the projects, and that save energy, reduce energy, operation, and maintenance costs at their customers or client facilities. That is ESCO. Okay? That's why in other countries, not all companies can become ESCO. They must meet certain requirements to become an ESCO. For example, in Thailand, in US, you cannot simply become an ESCO. But in Malaysia, unfortunately, anyone can claim they are an ESCO. That's the problem. So we don't have any law to so-called qualify ESCO yet. Okay. And ESCO, okay, ESCO will be acting as the project developer for the comprehensive range of energy saving measure and assume the technical and performance risks associated with the projects. The ESCO may have the capacity to undertake, they may have the capacity to undertake EPC. Okay, they may in Malaysia. But in Thailand, if you want to become ESCO, you must be able to undertake EPC projects. Otherwise, you cannot claim yourself as an ESCO. In EPC project, where to invest? Where you can normally have the project is? Normally in 3 areas. One, the system is there, they can optimize the system. Maybe they put some control, some variable speed drive and all that. They make the system, because the system is there, it's running but not efficient, so they optimize it. Okay? Or they totally retrofit the whole thing, okay? They retrofit with a more efficient technology. For example, they have the whole system, quite old, not efficient. They confirm that through the energy audit, and then they retrofit the whole thing. Or finally, they can go for EPC for renewable energy projects. Okay. This example of EPC when it comes to implemented in Malaysia, sourced from some of the MESCO members. Okay. So if you look here, this is the amount of saving per year that they generated. Okay. And then this is the total investment. I would like to highlight here, EPC is always attractive only for large-scale projects. Comprehensive solution come with a large-scale investment, and then they create some bigger economic impact. Also attract the investor or the bank to fund the projects. This example here, if you look at here, if you look at what they do to save energy in the projects, it's nothing so-called complicated. If you look at building sector, building facilities, you always have this air conditioning system, all the equipment, lighting system, computerized control and all that. Nothing new. Anyone can do it because EPC is just an option. It's not that the government sector or the owner cannot do it. They can do it with their own money. But EPC offer them options to look into that, to get the maximum saving, but they don't spend the money. The money is spent by the ESCO. This example of potential saving per year, and also the value of investment in the projects. This is another example from the MESCO member as well. Okay, if you look here, this is what I mean by so-called, they have to conduct energy audit, okay, to confirm performance of this old system, existing system. From the audit, they will confirm what the current performance, and then they propose the new system. Okay, this new system may involve new equipment as well. Okay, if you look here, so they manage, they manage the system. Okay, they change the new one. Okay, this example, a chiller plant. Okay, the chiller plant, they remove the bigger one, okay, the old one, and then they change with the new one with the smaller and more efficient time. Okay, from there they manage to, okay, run at the lower efficiency, a higher efficiency with the lower kilowatt per ton. This example. Okay, this is another example. Okay, and these projects, one of the MESCO member, okay, they save about 1.2 million from this project. Basically, what they do, they optimize the system. Okay, they optimize the system. Okay, how they do it? No, how do they know? They conducted energy audit. They do measurement and then they optimize system. They end up, they have achieved about 1.2 million RM per year savings. This is for the factory. Okay. For EPC, there are several options. Okay, either guaranteed saving model, okay, or shared saving model. I'll explain further later. For guaranteed saving model, basically, who secure the funding? The one that secure the funding is the building owner. For the shared saving model, okay, the funding secured by the ESCO. Okay. In all the options here, ESCO will provide guarantee of the project's technical performance and satisfaction of contracted specification with the client. The ESCO guarantee the performance. Okay. For guaranteed saving model, I start with the shared saving model. For shared saving model, this example, how does it work? Let's say, for example, this is now your bill. Your bill, okay, this is your pay this much now. And then you decided to go for EPC model to make your facility more energy efficient. What we'll do, basically, you will get an ESCO, you select an ESCO, the qualified one, and then they engage them. Okay? And then what they do, they will conduct energy audit, investment grade energy audit. From the audit, they will present to you the EPC investment proposal with all the details. Basically, what will be in the proposal, they will tell you how much they can save, okay, in terms of kilowatt hour or energy unit, also the RM, in terms of cost, and then how much that so-called proposal will cost them to implement, instead the investment cost, and how much the sharing proposed, okay, how much to share, the saving, how much to share, 80-20, 90-10, or 70-30, and then after that, negotiate and then sign the contract. So means that even though the ESCO, you have engaged the ESCO, and then they conducted the energy audit, it's not commercial commitment yet until they present to you the investment proposal. And then if you agree to implement, and then you can start to negotiate and sign the contract. All right. And then once you engage the ESCO to implement EPC, what they do, okay, they start to build the project. So the first step, what they will do, basically, they will put all the meter to establish the baseline, energy baseline. But this one will be used to refer, okay, the saving later after they implemented the projects. This one subject to the agreement between the two parties. So technically, both parties must agree. How long will be the baseline period? What kind of condition, how many condition to be, data to be collected as a baseline. Okay? And then they implemented the projects. After the baseline agreed, data collected, and then implement the projects. So the result of the project, you have less energy bill. And this is the part that you will share. This is the saving, right? And this saving, you'll share between the two parties. The value that I'm showing here, 10 to 30% for the owner, 70-20% for the ESCO, based on, in Malaysia, based on up to 10-year contract period. Why ESCO getting more? What do you expect? ESCO, first, they have to invest. From to invest, they have to put up a loan, secure a loan normally, and then they have to pay interest. And throughout the EPC contract, they will look into the operation and maintenance, spare parts, insurance. At the same time, they have to make some profit as well. That's why the sharing is more. Okay? And then this is talking about up to 10-year contract. Okay? And then after the contract ended, the owner will enjoy 100% saving. I give example. If the contract 7 years, the ecosystem can last for 20 years. So after 7 years, you will enjoy 100% saving without spending single cent to replace the asset. This is where, okay, government can save hundreds million when it comes to the replacement of the equipment. That's why I'm wondering why Malaysian government are so slow in taking this opportunity. All right, simple as that. Okay, and then what happened here? Zero upfront cost to the owner, and also zero cost to them throughout the contract period. Okay, simple as that. Compared to PFI model, okay, the government has to pay the owner. Government, if PFI normally with the government, right? Government will have to pay them over the concession period. Okay, this is example. And then the model is the guaranteed saving model. In the guaranteed saving model, okay, this is the facility owner, okay, and then they are the one who engage the ESCO. Okay, ESCO will identify the potential through some kind of project fee. ESCO did the audit, everything, and then the proper implementation, everything, and they come with the details. They come with all the costings. Okay, mean that. So what they do, they will get the cost of the projects, by pointing ESCO to confirm the solutions. Okay, and the ESCO will be ready. They pay the fee to the ESCO. But after that, the owner will secure the loan to the bank from the bank. Okay, and then the ESCO will implement the project based on the agreed cost. Okay, when the owner secure the loan from the bank, they have to pay back, right? Okay, so somehow they will structure the contract. Okay, let's say the owner has to pay the bank for 5 years. Okay, and when the ESCO come up with a solution, they are paid from the project fee, lump sum value. they guarantee the owner, this project, if being implemented, will save you 10%, for example, or let's say 20%, for example. So the owner will take that 20% as a basis of their loan. Okay, how payment to the loan, payback to the loan to the bank. But okay, throughout that contract period, throughout the 5 years loan tenure, okay, in the event of the saving is less than 20%, let's say 15%. So somehow the owner will have agreement with the ESCO, they call guaranteed performance agreement, where if the saving is less, okay, the ESCO will have to pay to the owner the balance throughout the contract period. Even though they're being paid lump sum fee, but they are tied with the contract where they must guarantee the performance. If the saving is lesser than 20%, they have to pay the remaining balance to make sure the owner won't have the trouble to pay to the bank as their plan. That's performance guarantee. Okay, that's different. For the shared saving model, ESCO borrow money from the bank. Okay, for the EPC guaranteed saving model, the owner will borrow money from the bank. Okay, this is the summary of benefits of EPC against normal purchase. Okay, basically for normal purchase, ESCO just typical contractor. Okay, they're just being paid to implement. Okay, so find the solution and implement, and then everything else go to the owner. And for shared saving and performance guarantee model, for shared saving model, everything being transferred to the ESCO. Financing, technical, everything, and then, of course, when it comes to the performance guarantee and normal purchase, 100% saving go to the owner. But when it comes to shared saving model, normally the saving will be shared between the two parties. Okay, basically. So EPC shared saving model is the model that the EPC model, basically the one that the owner transfer the risk to the ESCO. All right. So there's one question often being asked. Okay. So for the EPC process, can we do it direct appointment or open tender? Okay, my answer is yes. Either one is okay. Okay. Both can be done. Okay. But the key difference from the normal tender process, okay, you have to acknowledge the difference between this EPC model with the normal tender. Because for the normal tender, you open up a tender with all the specs. They call it, BOQ, okay? Bill of quantity. All the details is there, and then the tenderer will submit the detailed proposal to meet that requirement, or with the detailed costing. Okay, but EPC is not. The EPC, basically, the process of tendering basically is to pre-qualify and select the most capable ESCO, okay, which will become your strategic partner in the project implementations. That's why you cannot compare. It's not to obtain the best price or best solution yet. Okay, because they cannot guarantee you the saving yet. Because you don't have, they cannot, because they don't conduct the energy audit yet. Okay, not to obtain and compare the best price or detailed investment proposal from the start. You are selecting the most qualified ESCO to do the job. That's the difference. You can do it tender, open tender or direct appointment, but if you do the open tender, it's different approach. Okay. And then, how to make the EPC model works? If you look at here, okay, this is the summary of the total whole process, okay, of implementing EPC model, either the process flow, either direct appointment or open tender. If you look here on the left side top, the first part of the process, that as the owner of the building or the facility, they have to confirm, do you need EPC or not? You have to make decision upfront. If not, you don't waste your time, calling the ESCO or that. You confirm, okay, EPC, I don't have the funding, I have no money, okay, and I want to go for EPC as the option. Or even though I have money, I want to go for EPC as the option. You have decided already at EPC. It's not to look around to decide. Okay, the moment you involve the third party, the ESCO involved in the process, you already spend your time, they also spend their time. And then once we have confirmed the needs of the EPC, and we prepare all the basics information, still basic information of the building, and the objective and the target of the EPC. Why, how much you expect, somehow what kind of objective of the, what you target from that. Okay, how long, how soon, okay, prepare some basic information as well for the building, actually the energy related information. Okay, the bill, the major energy using equipment and all that. And then you look around and then you pre-qualify the ESCO. You look at the list and the energy commission list, or you go to the list of the MESCO member, you go on the market, look at who are ESCO available, and then you pre-qualify the ESCO. Pre-qualify the ESCO. From here, this is where you can decide whether you want to go direct negotiation or open tender. If you want to, let's say you go around, you look around, you manage to find one company, meet all your requirements, meet all the criteria. So it's very simple. You just appoint them. They call it pre-qualified. You appoint them. Okay? Because when you appointed them, you haven't got any commercial commitment yet. You just appoint them basically what? You will just appointed them for them to be able to conduct detailed energy audit. And later they will prepare to you the findings of the audit and then present to you the detailed EPC investment proposal with all the saving targets, saving potential on all that. All the details. Saving targets, detailed investment costs and all that. Solution to be implemented, all that. Or in here, number 3 here, you can issue RFP. Okay, to open tender. You can go issue RFP with all the basic information. And then from there, you get ESCO submitted the proposal and then you evaluate them. Okay. Now this is not a crucial part. When you evaluate them, you cannot ask about how much they can save. Okay, later I share with you what are the criteria of the ESCO assessment. You cannot ask here, this is something funny sometimes. Here you ask them to give you number, how much they can save. And the worst thing is that what can happen, you ask them to commit the number. How can they do that? Because in this part, they haven't conducted energy audit yet. And then when you selected them here and you appointed them, similar, you appointed them without any commercial commitment yet. But you just appoint them to conduct the detailed energy audit, okay, and then if there is potential, they will do the job. They will go to the next step. Okay, you cannot here, you cannot expect any ESCO energy audit is costly. It's not free. It's not cheap. It's a very technical, highly technical task. It's not free. Okay, I'm talking about, let's say, typical commercial building. You're talking about at least 50 to 100,000 ringgit you have to pay for energy audit alone. For factory or facility or manufacturing facility, you have to pay more than that. Okay, it's not free. But because of EPC model, ESCO must have that capability to conduct energy audit. Okay, so that they can conduct audit at their own cost. It's a part of the business cost already. Part of the business cost already. And from here, you appointed them, you allow them to conduct detailed energy audit. And then they will present to you the detailed investment proposal. And this time you can ask details, how much they can save everything. It's quite crucial for you to select the most qualified ESCOs. The most qualified ESCO. Let's say in here, you're going to go back to number 1. You can conduct your own energy audit. Let's say you may have engaged somebody else to conduct your own energy audit. Okay? But you can use that audit finding as the reference. You can compare that, they call it benchmarking audit. You can compare the audit findings, okay, with the findings from the ESCO. You may question them, maybe too ambitious. Not, so ask them to explain. I'm not surprised ESCO can give you more savings because for them is to maximize the potential. Okay, but if less, you can question why. Okay, but if more, you won't be surprised because it's their job to make sure to get the best ever solutions. Maybe something that your own auditor couldn't find because they are specialists. ESCO as specialists. The specialty is finding the potential. Energy auditor may be just conducted audit because ESCO, they know that they will conduct audit for them to implement auditor, and typical energy auditor, they just conduct the audit. They have no idea whether they will implement or not. That's the difference. Okay, only after you agree with the investment proposal, okay, with all the you agree with them in the investment proposal, and then you start to talk about contract, EPC contract. So you don't have to worry if you appoint ESCO here. Okay, but same time you cannot ask ESCO to come up with the savings here at the preliminary stage. Impossible. Okay, and then because you ask them the number that they will have to commit, and then only after that, after you agree with the proposal, after the detailed energy audit conducted, and then you go to the next step to discuss about contract. This is normally the longest process. Okay, and then you sign the contract, and then they implement the project, all at ESCO cost. And then after that, they implemented the project, and then they have to do the verification, measure and verify the savings, actual savings. Only after that, they will send a report to you with the invoice, how much you have to pay to them, based on the whatever agreed in the contract. This is a long process. This is a workable process flow. If you try to distort this process, you try to so-called impart the normal contract base, okay? In this process, typical project base, which you use your money to pay. In this case, ESCO put up the money, is unreasonable. This is why even at the EPC contract, EPC contract is quite unique. You cannot treat EPC contract just like a typical project contract where the owner can dictate every single thing based on the BOQ, because in normal project contract, the owner pay the money, right? They put up the money. They have reasons to impose the condition. But in EPC model, the contract itself should be win-win scenario. Protect both parties, not will be one-sided. So there is some element in the normal project contract is not applicable to the EPC contract. For example, performance bonds. Okay, requirement of the suppliers on all that it should be given to ESCO. Performance bond shouldn't be a problem because you don't use the money. The ESCO is the one that will secure the loan. What's there for you to worry? Okay, for you, EPC model is you give the expert to do it, and you are guaranteed only the performance. Performance in terms of saving, of course, also performance in terms of the comfort level, or whatever your user requirement cannot be compromised. It should be any compromise in the quality of the whatever condition of the facility. This is very, very important, because what my experience so far, when we talk about EPC here, this is where, especially in the government sector, the government personnel try to impose the normal projects condition in EPC contract. If we keep trying to do that, forever EPC cannot be something that workable in Malaysia. Okay, this is about the. So this is the process flow of this. I think I stop here. Okay, I'll share later. Okay, I'll share later the next step. Okay, I'll share the next step. I will talk about about the how to select ESCO. What are the criteria? Okay, on the ESCO selection. Okay, and also the next step of this EPC introduction. Okay, I hope that this the first part of the EPC have enlightened you further about what's EPC all about, and the next video I will share about the next step in the EPC implementations. So we have confirmed after we have appointed the ESCO, and as well as a start, I will talk about what kind of ESCO, okay, how to select the suitable ESCO, okay? The one that qualified to do the most capable one who can perform the EPC, implement the EPC projects. Okay, thank you very much. See you in the next part of EPC, the next video. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. Now let me continue with the second part of the introduction about energy performance contracting or EPC. Let me continue with the next part of the explanation. In the previous video, I shared with you the first part. We stopped at the workable mechanism of flow process flow that will make the EPC can be implemented, how we implement from the start, from the first step until you have to pay for the ESCO for the EPC projects implementation. Okay, let me share the screen first. So we stop here in the last video. Okay. So this whole process here is the process that will make EPC possible. Okay. And in this process, basically, there are three main components we have to give focus here. The first, you have to pre-qualify the ESCO, and then you appoint them either from direct appointment or from the open tender. And then the second crucial part is we have to look into when you negotiate the contract, you have to make sure both parties are protected, of course, for the win-win scenario. Okay, and then the contract of EPC is quite unique. It's not like a typical contract, project contracts. They have some feature that which is quite unique because the EPC model involve ESCO invested. Instead, the government or the owner or the facility or the private sector doesn't use their money. Okay, this is third party putting up the money. And then finally, the most important part, okay, when we come to the measurement and verification of the saving achieved, okay, because savings from the EPC must be able to verify. That's why when it comes to MNV or measurement verification, you must agree on certain protocol, okay, or certain standard to be followed when it comes to the measurement and verification mechanism. So that this will avoid dispute in the way forward, because EPC is a long-term contract. Okay, they can always be questioned at any time by any party involved. Right? Therefore, MNV is very important. So it must be agreed upon before you implement the EPC projects. Okay, the next part of EPC. So how to select ESCO? This is the difference compared to normal project selection for the contractor. Okay, for ESCO, when EPC projects, you are going to select the most capable ESCO who can do the EPC projects. It's not a typical selection of contractor or supplier, where you can put your BOQ or BOQ or BQ, bill of quantity, okay, and then you make sure they submit the proposal to meet your BQ specifications, and then they must give you the detail of the costing, every single detail of it. But for EPC, when you appoint them, they come with the reputation or credential that they have experience or they got the strength, they are capable of implementing EPC projects. Okay, you cannot ask them when you appoint them how much they can save yet and how much detail of the savings, all that yet. Here, I'd like to share with you the 4 main criteria you can look when you're assessing ESCO for the selection for the EPC. The first criteria is you have to look at the experience in EPC projects. So the best, you have to select ESCO that has the experience in implementing EPC projects. But to be realistic, in Malaysia, there are not many companies or ESCO has experience in large-scale EPC projects. At least you have to look at the track records in at least large-scale retrofitting projects. If no EPC project, at least large-scale, retrofitting project. For example, large-scale replacement of total chiller system or air conditioning system, centralized air conditioning system, for example. Okay? At least, to be fair. Okay, but ideally, a company or ESCO that has the experience that with the EPC projects. That's why, for example, in Thailand, you must have certain EPC projects before you can certify as ESCO. Okay, similar to in US as well. That's the first part. Okay, the second part is the financial strength. So we have to look at the financial strength to assess whether this ESCO is able to secure the loan or not. Therefore, RM2 company cannot become ESCO. No way they can secure the loan of millions ringgit. So that's why the second thing, look at the financial standing, their paid up capital. Okay, the investors, if they have invested, they're investors who will fund the projects, have they some kind of good records in securing the funding? If not, if you don't check on that, you may engage them. They may come with a solution, but they may have trouble to secure the funding. That will delay the project implementation. I know some in the market, ESCO has problem to secure fundings. Because normally ESCO is small. Okay, ESCO is small. All right? And then the third criteria is the technical competency and expertise. This is very important. at least the ESCO, you have to check, can they perform energy audit or not? You must have people who are competent to conduct a detailed or investment grade energy audit. If not, if they work but with the other party, you have to confirm who is this party. If they outsource that energy audit purpose jobs, you have to check who this auditor, because you have to check. Because in Malaysia, it's no qualification about audit, so-called energy audit, some kind of guidelines. Okay, because there are so many standards or level of energy audit, even though they call it the same name. Therefore, you must check the technical competency of the ESCO, whether can they conduct energy audit. Okay, otherwise, they may have trouble. They may outsource that energy audit job, and then they may have problem later because they don't have the long-term partnership with the energy auditor. Because the energy auditor is the one that basically will prescribe the solution, describe exactly what to do when it comes to how to save the energy. All right, that's why I have to check their technical competency. Finally, you have to check their management capacity in energy services itself. Do they have experience? Do they have enough management capacity in the managing the project itself? Okay, in terms of resources, the management experience and all that. So these 4 criteria is basically the criteria you have to check, when you assess the ESCO. Okay, I would say the most important one is the T, experience in EPC project or large-scale retrofitting projects, energy saving projects, financial strengths, and also the technical competency. And if this one meet all that, and then you say yes to the ESCO, you select the ESCO. Okay, again here, financial strength, basically to make sure that they're able to secure the funding for the projects. And in EPC model, it's not a typical owner-supplier relationship or owner-contractor relationship. It's about create a strategic partnership between 2 parties. Okay, and that's why whoever selected, you must be involved. Is to be involved in the project development stage until the end. Okay, very important. And then again, when you appoint the ESCO, okay, you appoint the ESCO. Basically, when you appoint the ESCO to the EPC, basically a commitment for the ESCO to conduct detailed energy audit. And then you can let them to access to all the data, information, and all that, to the facility that you're committed to conduct the EPC. It's no commercial commitment yet. Okay, but it's just like guarantee that I say they conduct the audit if there is potential, and then they submit to you the proposal. Okay, the investment proposal for EPC investment proposal, and you agree, and then you sign the contract. Okay. But you cannot use the audit findings, to engage the other party. Immediately, you guarantee this guy, this ESCO conducted audit. If there is potential and they are willing to invest, they are guaranteed to conduct to implement. They are guaranteed to get the PC job. Therefore, they can absorb the energy audit cost. Okay, you cannot expect an ESCO come to conduct the audit. Okay, and they presented to you the proposal, and you can see the potential, and then they said, I want to select somebody else to conduct the audit. I want to select somebody else, other company, to implement the projects. You can do that, provided you must be willing to pay the fee for the audit from the ESCO. Okay, you can do that, provided you must be, to be fair, and the audit is not cheap, it's not a simple job, it requires certain level of expertise, require resources, and of course, it's a cost involved there. So to be fair, even though initially agreed for them to do EPC, but if you decided at least to get other party to implement the EPC, the whatever proposal being submitted to you, you must be ready. To be fair, you must be to pay the ESCO at least for the energy audit cost. Okay, but bear in mind, okay, one of the good judgment of ESCO, whether they are good ESCO or not, okay, any properly good ESCO won't take any other ESCO audit funding for them to invest for EPC projects. If they do that, they are taking huge risks. Okay, if there is such ESCO, let it be, but I think it's very high risk. Okay, somebody just like a doctor, specialist, they won't take somebody else, prognosis, for him to straight away conducted the surgery. They have to assess at least, and then put in his conditions and all the expertise of that. Okay, and then the commercial commitment, okay, to sign the EPC contract is subject to the findings of the audit after you appointed them as the ESCO. Okay? Subject to the findings. Even how the details will be agreed after you are both sides agree on the findings. Okay, findings. Okay, whatever happened, either if you agree to go for EPC model, the audit cost will be absorbed by the ESCO, part of the business. But if you decided not to go ahead with the ESCO that conducted the audit, even though you know there's potential, you must be fair. You must be willing to pay at least the energy audit cost for the ESCO. Okay, normally, in my practice last time, okay, I got about 15 years of experience conducting EPC projects. Okay, in my experience then, normally I don't send the energy audit report to the owner for the EPC projects unless they're willing to pay. Normally, what I will present to them is the findings of the audit. Okay, I will share everything about the audit reports, detail everything, all the data, everything, detail measurement on that, only after we sign the EPC contract. Before that, we just submitted the details of the solutions. Okay, even not that they just the findings. Okay, all the common. Okay. If they want to get all the details, engage us and we let us implement the EPC projects. This is where normally ESCO sometimes being trapped. Okay, because it's energy audit for EPC shouldn't be treated like typical audit for you. Let's say you pay for the audit from the beginning. If you pay for the audit job, they have the obligation to give everything to you because they are engaged to conduct the energy audit alone. No commitment after that. But if talking about EPC model, okay, if you are an ESCO, okay, my advice from my fellow ESCOs out there, okay, if you are an ESCO itself, okay, you shouldn't give the detailed report because you are not engaged to conduct energy audit. You are engaged to implement EPC projects. So you shouldn't share everything, all the details, okay, until they engage you as the company that implement the EPC projects. Okay, this example of the findings from energy audit. Okay, example here, you look here, the value here, if you look the value here, okay, this value saving in kilowatt hour and RM, right? This is the value that the ESCO will guarantee to you. Okay, this example, this is the minimum value they guarantee you the saving per year. So the investment will be based, the revenue or investment will be based on this potential saving in terms of RM. Okay, this is the example. So that's why in all EPC model, the value being identified with the ESCO is the minimum value that they will guarantee. Okay, if you look here, okay, total saving per year. And then example here, lighting. This one just now, aircon system. Okay, the potential for every equipment, and then the total savings here, 464,000 per year. And this is another example is lighting. Okay, lighting, total saving projected per year is about 100,000 per year. Okay, and then this example of audits but done at the government facilities. Okay, this example of submission of the energy audit report. You look here, this is the detail, existing data, proposed solution here, and the saving benefit, how much they save per year, and how much does it cost, and how long this is example information on the financial analysis output. Okay, back here. This example of findings, but for EPC projects, they will, in the proposal, okay, you're talking about EPC proposal. What will be in the proposal? So in the proposal, this is what will be presented. This is not energy audit report. It's just basically the proposal. So the proposal should include this. First, detailed financial investment. Okay, and then what will be guaranteed minimum saving. Minimum saving, how much? How many percent in terms of RM, how much? And then ROI or IRR, and then fundings. Okay, do they give you options? Okay, fundings. Okay, EPC or normal procurement. And then shares, if talking about shared saving model, okay, how much the sharing between two parties, percentage, and how long the contract period. Okay, next one, detailed investment costs. We will cover equipment costs and installation, operation, maintenance, and spare parts. Very detailed. Okay, okay, and then how they want to implement the projects, all the timeline, how long does it take, all that. Okay, the team, all that. And then how they calculate the baseline and how to track the performance. In the tracking performance, determine how savings, how they determine this, how be the formula, the calculation of that, what kind of measurement involved, and how they define the baseline. So what are the conditions, to establish the baseline, and how they measure the savings? How about the measured saving, and how about the non-measured saving? Is it covered or not? And finally, detailed MNV plan and facilities needed. Okay? Measurement verification plan. How be the measurement? What kind of protocol they refer, and what kind of equipment required for the measurement and verification of the savings? This item here is all element that will be in the investment proposal. Based on this, okay, the owner have to decide whether they want to go ahead or not. If they want to go ahead, sign the contract. If they don't want to go ahead, but audit has been conducted, to be fair, pay the ESCO for the audit service that they have, audit job that have been conducted. Okay, be fair. Okay, be fair and be human. Okay, and then next part, what will be in the contract? So what will be the contract? I just highlight a few key area here. The most important in the left side here. So what in the contract? What is guaranteed? What is guaranteed basically? What minimum amount saving to be achieved? 10%, 15%. Okay, and then method of reporting format. Okay, and formula on how you calculate the saving and how saving to be paid back to the ESCO. Okay, and then the third one, conditions apply. What if the saving achieve more? What if the saving achieves less? How to mitigate that? Okay, sometimes saving can be less, saving can be more. So is there any penalty? Any possible extension of contract? What if more? What if more? Can the contract be shortened and all that? And then finally, this is a general requirement in the contract. Basically, what happens if any change in operation? Should they change the baseline? How to review the baseline? Okay, and then responsibility of the both party, owner and ESCO throughout the contract period. You have to define that role very clearly. And then what happens if there is some modifications, maintenance, all that? Okay, and then what if the equipment loss, damage, or that might normally covered by the insurance? And then what in terms of losses are liability by the ESCO to the facility owner? All they are normally covered by the insurance. The most important part under normally the left side here. Okay. And then payment to ESCO, there are some options, there are a few options on paying, how you can pay the ESCO. The first one, okay, fixed payment. Okay, fixed payment. Okay, fixed, let's say in 5 years we pay you this much. Okay, but at the same time, any saving performance report must be submitted every month to show the saving is as being promised. So there's a reason for ESCO to make sure the saving achieved, at least minimum must be achieved. So of course, if less, you have to, if less saving achieved, how be the mitigation? Okay, so fixed payment schedule, and then whatever, whatever the shortfall, okay, less or whatever, deducted at the end of the at the interim periods. Okay, and then fifth payment schedule. Okay, fifth payment schedule, but deduction at the end. They say this last 6 months they will monitor. They start to show, do all the checking for previous years and see how much will be expected to be shortfall, so that they deduct at the end of the contract period. Okay, for the first one, in the interim period, any period that both parties agreed. Okay, but the second one, payment, any deduction or the shortfalls at the end of the contract, maybe the last 3 months or 6 months. Okay, and then strictly based on cost saving on the measured data. This is normally we normally recommend it. Okay? But it's okay. Doesn't matter. Whatever option you choose here is still workable. It's still something can make EPC happen. Okay, but for the strictly based on the cost saving based on the measured data, normally purely based on the any saving report every month must be attached with the invoice or the payment request. Okay, and normally come with all the figures or the values of that. Okay, so the 3 options: payment to ESCO. Normally banks prefer fixed payment. Fixed payment. They don't want to know how much exactly the ESCO will get the revenue. Fixed payment. Okay, so you choose whichever that work for you the most, the best. In terms of ownership of the equipment, there are many options here. The equipment owned by the client. Okay, if you go for performance contracting, performance guarantee model, okay, and then or owned by ESCO, leasing to the host within contract period, okay, or if the funding is come from the third party or for the banks, okay, or basically owned by the financier until the loan paid up, right? Okay. Similar to the maintenance option, maintenance either the ESCO conduct everything, okay. They want total maintenance and operation. Basically, if the ESCO conduct the project is about total retrofitting, okay. If optimization, they have to define the scope of work operation maintenance of the ESCO between the owner and the ESCO, and then sometimes maintenance only, but operation in terms of switch on and off of the facility by the client personnel. This one agreed, must be agreed lah. Have to agree on the condition, and then carried out by the ESCO maintenance, okay, but operation by the, sometimes they engage the property management companies, okay, and then operation alone, okay, and maintenance by others, okay, and then the client carry out their own maintenance and operation, but advice and training provided by the ESCO. There's some option here, so no issue. Okay, so the key features to ensure success factor in the EPC projects. First, normally, saving should be looked into based on the actual measured data. Saving itself must be measured from the actual measured data, not from estimation. But the payment can be fixed or not. But in terms of savings, it must be looked based on the actual measured data before and after at the agreed baselining conditions. And then you must select a capable ESCO. And then the contract of EPC must be very comprehensive. There must be some kind of trust and transparency in the strategic partnership to reduce business costs. It's a partnership, not a typical supplier and owner relationship. And finally, there must be some kind of understandings, both party, actually the owner, how EPC works and how in long term they will benefit the owners. Okay, it's not a typical short-term relationship. You must understand how EPC works. Why you have to pay ESCO more? Okay, why to this? Why you have to also change some kind of element in your normal procurement or that? Okay, and then of course if you want to get faster result, okay, because EPC is an option. Okay, if you want to have money, go ahead, change your chiller yourself. Okay, you can do it faster. But if you have no money, okay, this is an option. You can get it faster because ESCO are specialists in this. Okay, and then how to enhance EPC adoption? Okay, you must have let's say you want to implement EPC at the government sector, you must kind of workable standard EPC contract. Okay, it's workable. What I mean, the EPC contract that suit the EPC model, not a typical project contract. Okay, there must be some kind of changes there. It must be agreed upon because EPC is new things. It's a new way of doing things. And secondly, you must qualify ESCO. Okay, now we have in Malaysia in particular, anyone can become an ESCO. Otherwise, the market will be confused. Which one to select? And then we must have some kind of guidelines, template EPC guidelines provided by the independent party for people to follow, workable guidelines. And finally, for EPC happen to the government sector, there must be some kind of a procurement modification. The process, the criteria, they must have some kind of modification. Must be some changes. If not, EPC doesn't work. EPC is a new way of doing things. So you must do some modification of the procurement element, also process, without compromising the requirement, the user requirement of the facility. Okay, and then to enhance, if the government wanted to propose, make sure EPC become so-called big, and so you must promote example of proven successful EPC projects. I know some projects being successfully implemented, so you must be able to share with that. For me, I don't see a problem of if you share about EPC project implemented at government facilities. Because if you share, we are not interested to know the commercial agreement. We wanted to know how the EPC works there. How much is safe? All right, how much is safe? How does it work? How's the maintenance and all that? So that people will learn from that. All parties, not only the ESCO, other party, other government agencies, all that, and then also even the bank can understand better this model. Again, second one, government must be willing to modify the current procurement practices to facilitate the use of EPC contract. Otherwise, if you stick to the current condition, it doesn't work. Okay, and finally, government should back up and the portion of, fund when it comes to fundings, because this is new things. We need support. ESCO needs supports. Okay, so that EPC can spur. I think if the industry EPC become more matured, all parties understood this model very well, the way forward, so that no need support. So that let the market determine the condition. The bank can decide their own things, and then the ESCO can have to perform accordingly. Okay. So with that, I think this is the last one. Okay. This is the recommended support measure for EPC in Malaysia. First, financing. You must have some kind of funding, and then we must have some kind of loan or a fund that with low interest to start with. Cannot be a typical, normal interest rate. Low, but for certain period, let's say for next 5 years or 10 years, until the market mature. And the government can provide some kind of guarantee in these loans as well. Okay, just like they do for the GTFS. And then technical assessment. You must acknowledge, qualify, competent independent party to the energy audit, also as well as other part like MNV. And then must be transparent in the assessment criteria of the ESCO. And finally, how we assess the common so-called solution for EPC projects. Okay, you must have some guidelines, where to refer and all that. And finally, okay, you must, not finally, this next one, you must have kind of support, fiscal incentive. I think some incentive will be available now. Okay, for tax exemption and all that, for ESCO, for the business, for the building owner and all that. And finally, you must make sure how you can monitor the performance of the PC project through the performance measurement and verification. Here, you must acknowledge who are the competent parties. We must acknowledge, you must recognize who are the measurement and verification specialists. The authority must qualify them so that they have some kind of trust and believe that they are truly competent to provide solution for the measurement and verification of saving in the EPC project. Okay, and finally, this will involve must be a dedicated government agency. Agency that specialized in EPC, so that there must be a well-trained officer and all that. Okay, for that they can become a one-stop center for all parties to look into the EPC projects for the government. Of course, it must involve the financial institutions, banks, and of course, professional bodies as well to support the all these elements here. Okay, with that, I think I'm done. I hope my sharing in these 2 videos, okay, enlighten you further, give you some understanding about what this EPC all about. Okay, I hope this sharing help you, and I hope personally, even though I'm no longer doing EPC now, I'm happy to assist in creating awareness about EPC so that I can share my experiences in doing EPC for about 15 years, okay, in the private sector, in private facilities, okay, and then we can make sure EPC is another one a source of economic growth in our country, in Malaysia in particular. With that, thank you very much. For any EPC matters, you can come to the association, MALAYSIA-CHILLER. The website is masco.org. Okay, you can refer to MALAYSIA-CHILLER as association. We can assist you whichever possible. Okay, thank you very much for listening. And then I hope I can see you again in the next video, okay, on matters related to energy efficiency. And then if you have time, you can share. If you feel the sharing is useful and beneficial to you, you can share this, and also you can subscribe to this channel as well. Thank you very much. See you in the next video. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. So we meet up again in my video channel, YouTube channel, regarding my sharing about energy efficiency and energy management or energy management system. Today I would like to share, I'd like to continue my sharing about the energy performance contracting. Honestly, I'm now no longer doing energy performance contracting projects. I think I stopped doing it. I think since the last about 2-3 years, when I started to focus on my attention on my service providing the energy management system consultancy and training alone. However, I have a quite solid experience in implementing large-scale energy efficiency projects, even small scale when I started. So therefore, what I'm trying to do, I will, as a member of the MALAYSIA-CHILLER, the Association of the Energy Service Company in Malaysia, I'm just happy to keep creating the awareness
okay, helping to create awareness, helping the market to have more understanding, or stakeholders, to have more understanding about this energy performance contracting. I think there are numbers of current energy performance contracting projects in Malaysia happen already, either in private or government facilities. However, I think many of you may agree with me, for those who are in this particular industry, many of you may agree with me that the growth of this EPC implementation in Malaysia is not fast, or we can say, it's very, very little progress made over the years. It happens, but it happens into a very so-called discrete manner, where it's not something that anyone can refer, can look, can learn and study and all that. Okay, therefore, in this video, what I like to do basically, I would like to share, okay, some examples at other countries, how just to give you some idea how they do it, and then secondly, what are the common features, what they share in common that made EPC is successful in the form of creating growing the industry where large investment are involved. Okay, we're talking about large investment here. Okay, so let me share my slide so that we can have a look, have better idea what I would like to share today. Okay, I'll look at my slide here. Okay. Okay, this is what I prepared for me to share with you this time. Okay, so just I would like to share with you, based on my research, based on my communication with some of my friends who are involved in this particular industry, what are the success stories, in other country, how generally they do it, who drive the EPC in each country, and then we discuss, what are needed. We have to discuss what are needed to make it a success in Malaysia, in our country, because EPC is large, is something that is huge potential. It has huge potential, but in Malaysia it is relatively untapped. It's not unlocked yet properly. Okay, so the first example, let's look at our neighbor Thailand. It's just our neighbor. Okay, up there. Okay, in Thailand, how they do it? They have a so-called a dedicated effort, but at the ministry level, even the agency level, they act as the facilitator. They act as a facilitator. A facilitator basically somebody or entity that help to make it happen. They facilitate, for the ESCO business. Okay, what's the impact? If you look here, this line here, if you look here, okay, if you look this line here, a lot of agencies involved. They involve agencies. Okay, especially DD and IGAT. Okay, they involve financial institutions. They got the authority involved. Okay, and then they also get the banks on board. If you look here, even if you look at this slide here, there are CIMB, Thai, Malaysian banks, involved in EPC project in Thailand. So that's why if you look here, this is an effort by the government. All right. So it is, the EPC is recognized, okay, and supported by the various stakeholders. So what's the result? The result is that the industry EPC grow, it grow, okay, because awareness, okay, because it can be seen, it's something that it's a measure, to mitigate the potential energy crisis in long term, and also for the sustainable energy utilization for the country. Okay, and these stakeholders they are promoting and supporting energy savings and energy efficiency implementation through ESCO services. Through ESCO, they look ESCO as their partners. Okay, to achieve the national goals. Okay, this is what I managed to source from the ThaiSCO, or Thailand ESCO Association. If you look here, what's the impact in Thailand? You look impact in Thailand here. If you look at from 2009 alone, okay, ESCO grew from 30 to 60 by the end of 2014. Within 5 years. Okay, they got a lot of programs, they have a lot of program, matchmaking programs, events, that means that the government take the lead, and then a lot of cooperation with the association, okay, from other countries as well. Again, establish the association. So what's the impact? Okay, the impact, okay, they managed to create, its total savings of, almost 400, million US dollar per year from about 430 EPC projects. Okay, all right. So this is how they do it. Okay, this is the impact, huge impact per year, 364 million US dollar savings. Okay, savings from about 400 over EPC projects via ESCOs, energy service companies. Okay, and then in Thailand, one of the most critical part of EPC, okay, the funding. In Thailand, what do they have? They have the ESCO fund. Okay, government created a fund. Thailand government created a fund. Okay, and then if you look here, okay, so that's why they set up initial budget about 50 million US dollar in 2008. Okay, and they selected the fund managers to manage the fund. Okay, basically by the government. Okay, and then they got the plan. Okay, they got a promotion, they support the projects, they make sure the fund will be disbursed, okay, and they have the long-term plan. Okay, they increase the fund from 100 to 200 million US dollar. All right, so they start to corporatize the programs, to be investment company. Okay, this is how they do it. So they have a structured funding program for EPC projects implementation in Thailand. Okay, this is in Thailand. Okay, just to share with you. Okay, coincidentally, I know some of the people who are involved in ESCO in Thailand. Okay, we communicated a few times last time. Okay, when I was still in the government, and then we come to another country, United States of America, USA. Okay, so in United States, they have such a big country. Okay, so they started with the states, okay, and local government. Okay, since 1997, they invested over 21 billion US dollar. Okay, and then they got a stimulus package. Okay, pump another money. Okay, to existing government building. Okay, and then they have even what they do. They amended some of the law. Okay, they amended some of the law to enable EPC to happen. Because some EPC project, that's why in US they got EPC project up to 35 years. They up to federal level, state government level, they are willing to change some law, okay, just to facilitate EPC to happen in the country. Okay, that's why they did the research, they did the study, they showed that the benefit is huge. The benefit cost ratio of 1.6 to 1, higher 2.1 to 1 ratio for EPC in health facilities. Another example here, the government took the lead, and they provide, basically what I can see here, from my understanding, they provide an ecosystem for EPC to happen in their country, in this country. Okay, this is in US. US, I would say, based on my understanding and knowledge, okay, EPC concept started from US, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I'm saying. Many years ago, over 30, 40 years ago. It's not new. So means that the concept is already proven, works. It works. And then we come to Europe. Europe, if you understand how Europe function, they got so-called EU. Okay, so they can issue directive. Okay, or they share a lot of common platform, common standard, common guidelines, everything. So when they have program at a European level, so for EPC in particular, they call it Euro contracts. They call it Euro contract program, guarantee energy performance contract programs. Okay, so what they have, they develop the manual, they provide, they develop the paper or the documentations. They make it a standardized documents. Okay, so for them to maintain the quality, right? They got all the certification, financing, and all that. They standardize it. What they do, they standardize all the paperwork, all the documentation. Okay, and then they got a lot of consultation with the market players, market players, financial sector, ESCO themselves. Okay, and then they have capacity building. You know, they build capacity in the government sector and also in the private sector. Okay, so they have they get the people to understand what EPC all about. Okay, means that the decision makers, you know, the players, the people who are involved in the operation and all that. And then they started with the pilot projects. What they did, they mandate, you know, each country they issue a directive. So they got pilot projects, you know, they selected the buildings, all right, and then they got the projects and then they monitor the projects. Okay, and then from this pilot project, they prove the concept. From there, they managed to prove the savings in between 10 to 35%, and then they become the reference in Europe. Okay, that's in Europe. Again, all led by the government, Okay, and then we come to down under. This is Europe. Okay, and then we go down under. Okay, Australia. Okay. Partly they are ASEAN as well. When it comes to football, they are ASEAN. Okay, what they do in Australia means that they develop, you know, the whole government business case and financial goals on EPC. How they do it? Okay, they set up the funding source. They set up the funding source, and then they establish the who administer the fund and facilitate who can facilitate the ESCO, the EPC, and then they got a protocols. Okay, they got certain standards or guideline protocols for the energy efficiency upgrades for their facilities. And then next one, the best part of this, the mandate agencies. The mandate instructed the agencies to implement upgrade that meets that financial criteria. And that they got directive. This is how Australia do it. Okay, so this is again here, government led. Means that the government wanted to do it. Okay, example here. And then look at one of the government in Australia, Queensland in particular, what they do, they set the policy at the government level, the state government level, to do the energy consumption, you know, in a certain period. Okay, and then what they do, okay, and then they use, you know, they use EPC as a part of the feature in the programs. Okay, mean that they use EPC and facilitate, then they prepare the facilitation. Means that they prepare the guide, you know, by the single department. Here over there, they also have the Department of Public Works as well. Just like Malaysia, we have JKR in particular. Okay, they got one single department looking into EPC implementation in a program in the state, okay, in the government, so in the state, yeah. Okay, and somehow, okay, even the public works as well, you know, they also have invested some money, okay, yeah, for the 25 sites, you know, of a certain site of their what they own. So this is how they do it. Again, this is government led, means that the government wanted to do it, so they make it happen. Okay, they make it happen. And so this is how much they've they've been proven they achieve savings. Because if you look at you're talking about government facilities, you know, building facilities. It's quite straightforward. Technically, it's not that challenging, you know, to save energy costs in government or commercial building facilities, because the equipment is quite common, mainly HVAC system, okay, lighting system. There's two major users in this commercial building facilities. So technically, it's not that challenging because all about, you know, something being proven. You're talking about retrofitting to use more energy efficient chiller system, you know, more efficient pumps, fans, and all that. It's nothing new. It's nothing sophisticated. All right, simple as that. Okay. And then another part of why, based on my understanding, why EPC has become so attractive to many countries, you know, then I think they are not looking mainly for the government sector. All right, for the government, you know, they're not really looking into to the savings alone. Okay, because it's not so much. Partly they want to save energy costs, the government, for the government facilities, but they look bigger picture. Okay, for example, okay, I managed to I did some research, you know, looking around. Okay, how much the impact, how much in terms of economic impact and also the job creations, okay, through the implementation of the by the energy service. Energy service basically mainly the core, and when it comes to energy service, the core basically ESCO, ESCO involve ESCO, and they provide energy services. Okay, energy service mainly the one that involves the big money is EPC projects, retrofitting project through EPC model. This is where private sector pump the money, okay, invested the money through the loans or their own funding. Okay, if you look here, I managed to source one report here, International Finance Corporation China ESCO Market Study Report 2012. Okay, if you look here, in 2011 alone, okay, 2001 alone, okay, it was 42 billion, Chinese yuan investment, and over, over 100 ESCO invested more than 50 million. Okay, and then the whole industry, okay, created about almost 400,000 jobs. Okay, and then the output of the of the industry has reached about 125 billion. Okay, by end of 2012, okay, there were over 2,000 ESCO registered in China. Okay, with the project, and ESCO finance project about 55 billion in the market. And then estimated to be at 165 billion per annum and still growing in China. Okay, you see, I managed to get a report here. So it means that not just the savings, okay, it's more about economic impact. It's more about economic impact to the country. It's big. Okay, on top of that, it creates jobs. And it creates jobs, it's good for the people. Okay, this is from report in China. Okay, so I managed to source another one report. Okay, this is the report. Okay, from American Council for Energy Efficient Economy Summer Study on Energy Efficiency in Buildings, report titled "The U.S. ESCO Industry Recent Trends." Okay, if you look here, I managed to source some interesting information here. Okay, so the current size, remaining market potential in 2014 stated in the U.S. ESCO industry continued to grow at a steady pace recent years. Despite the major recession. I can't recall which year of this report, sorry, 2014, yeah, 2014. Despite recession, the ESCO, the energy service industry, still grow because equipment old, right? They need to be changed. All right, old equipment, started to have problems, so it have to be changed. This is how the government changed the asset, getting new asset without using their own money. Therefore, in the US, it reported, in 2011 alone, okay, they reported revenues of ESCO about 5 billion that year alone. Okay, and then estimated remaining potential, investment potential in the facility typically addressed by the ESCO industry significantly range from 71 to 130 billion US dollar. Okay, the investment potential in 2014. That's in the US. Okay, I couldn't find them, but of course, all this investment, all this project implementation come together with the job creation. Thousands of job creation. It's guaranteed. Because somebody has to, conduct the energy audit, for example. Somebody has to do measurement and verification. Somebody has to implement the project. Somebody has to maintain the project. Somebody has to supply the solutions, the products and so on. A lot of things. Okay, from EPC projects. And then another one report, I think should be the last one report. So this is a statement from Jim Dixon, Mr. Jim Dixon, Con Edison Vice President of Con Edison Energy, okay, and also the chair of the National NESCO, okay, in 2011, okay. So he said, right, from this report, okay, he said, the energy service industry provided about $50 billion, okay, in the last 2 decades, and this one was 2011, okay. 2 decades means that, before the millennium, even before the millennium, okay. So this generated about 25 billion, okay, value of public infrastructure improvement. How much they created a job? Over 300,000 jobs created in 2 decades from energy service, in particular EPC implementation. Okay, from 1 million projects, they estimated they create about 10 direct jobs in engineering, construction, and equipment manufacturing from that, for every 1 billion projects. Okay, and then the income created from this job, okay, provide another 1 to 12 indirect jobs in the same time. It's quite interesting. My point here, these countries looking at EPC at big picture, they look at it at an economic point of view, you know, the macroeconomic point of view. Look, they're talking about investment, source of economic growth. Okay, they don't talk about savings. Because they know the moment they enter into EPC, they are guaranteed savings, energy costs. Not just energy costs. If government, first they save energy costs, okay. Second, they save money for replacement of their assets, okay. And then on top of that, they also save, you know, throughout the contract period, they will save budgets on maintenance, spare parts, okay. And the best part of that, you know, all that project will create economic impact, will create jobs to the country. They don't even talk about savings. Okay, this is interesting. This is very, very interesting. Something we can ponder as in Malaysia. Okay, we have to look big picture. Okay, it's not about saving, because for me, if talking about government facility, government has their money. Government has the revenue from our tax, everything. Okay, so what's wrong if, you know, this kind of model can be used even to benefit the country, the people, okay, people, and then by creating the jobs through the investment. So what government can lose from this? You tell me. Okay, you tell me what government can lose, and how much government will lose if we keep delaying this. Okay, not only government. Okay, how much our country will lose in terms of opportunity. We got to lose opportunity. Okay, but our friend in Thailand, you know, in this country, they are now taking this as one of the strategic matters, no longer just, you know, so-called support and support things. Okay, and then come to these questions. Okay, so in Malaysia, this is I would like to discuss here. Okay, this is based on my understanding, you know, my experience in the market, you know, my involvement in some of the initiative, you know. I think since even since I was still in the government, okay, when I was way back in the government from 2004, okay, but EPC started in the government somewhere in 2010, right? So 2010, I was involved in the EPC projects, you know, initiation, you know, at the Ministry of Energy at that time. Okay, I was involved in proposing, you know, the EPC in the economic transformation programs, you know, ETP. We were to promote, you know, private investment, also creating jobs, okay, in the government. And until now, I'm involved as giving the inputs, you know, or whenever asked, you know, through the association. Okay, so this is what I can observe, you know. So what we need to have, you know, what basically we need to have to make EPC somehow happen in Malaysia. I don't deny that there are some EPC projects happen in Malaysia, but it happens discreetly, you know. It's not transparent, I can tell you that. What I can say is not transparent at all. Suddenly somebody share, oh, we have project EPC here, you know. Some I know transparent at the early stage. Some at the end of the day, you know, become very secretive. Okay, even though I think the last this year Energy Awards, you know, there are some winners, you know, but I'm not questioning all that. For me, for me personally, I would like to see something that you know, anyone can come and learn. Okay, the process, from the start, you know, is transparent. People can understand how does it work. You know, it's not through the, you know, direct negotiation and all that. So try to make it transparent and easily understood, so that more people can take part. You know, instead of, you know, only selective so-called people, you know, who are getting this kind of job. Okay, on certain, so even in a certain specific criteria or environment. Okay, so we want to have something common where everyone can come and play the game fairly with the same rule, with the same approach and all that. So everyone will get a fair chance to participate. Okay, this is one of my ultimate, you know, ultimate goal now, to create the awareness and to help anyone, you know, because I'm no longer doing EPC, so I have no interest. Okay, so that's why I will work very closely with my association, basically to promote this. So what we need in Malaysia to make it happen, what we need in Malaysia in particular. Okay, if you look here, first we need to have policy decision. Okay, position. I was told that, you know, there are policy decisions by the cabinet in 2013. That basically in Malaysia, the cabinet has agreed to adopt EPC, okay, in the government facilities. It was approved in the cabinet. I was told it was approved by the cabinet. Okay, but since 2013 until now, does that happen? Okay, does that happen? It's not. There are, even though there's some EPC projects, happen. Okay, I know some of them, but it works. Even the best part, it proven that there are savings, but it happened in the so-called specialized, special manner. Okay, so this is where we need to have more open manner. Okay, open way of doing things. Okay, that's what is needed. We have the policy decision 2013. Even I was told that another decision after that also the government agreed to adopt EPC by the cabinet, but it's not happening as what we intended to happen. So what's needed basically? Basically, the policy should be translated in the form of directive from the federal government to all the ministries and agencies to adopt EPC for their all retrofitting projects, for all the buildings that own, that meet the so-called predetermined criteria. They must have that kind of directive, so that the process will take place. Okay, what happened in since 2013? Okay, there are policy decisions, but they give the leeway to the other ministries, okay, to choose. Okay, but on top of that, I think I elaborate further after this. What stop all that? Okay, what stop all that? That's why if you want to, the policy decision must come with the introduction of the directive. Must be a mandate or directive from the federal government. Make it one of the KPI. Okay, so set the goals, set the targets. How much government to achieve for EPC. Exactly. Come up with how to make it happen. How to make it happen. Okay, so that's one thing. The second part, procurement process. I was told until now, okay, there's still no official, payment mechanism, and made known to everyone. There could be some because but it's not publicly known yet. Something that people can refer, and people can understand, people can start to follow. To enable the government to pay the ESCO. They still ding dong with that. Since how long? Since 2013 until now. I know there is some effort being done, okay, but still no final document yet. So we hope this will come up very soon. So without this, EPC cannot happen because it's no way any government ministry or agency can pay the ESCO because it's not in the part of the procurement process or procurement procedure. That on the payment to ESCO. Okay, the good part of that, now at least ESCO now can register with the Ministry of Finance on the so-called code. And they got code, the 222801 code for ESCO in the Ministry of Finance or the Treasury. Okay, but now the payment mechanism, if there is almost done, good, but it must come up soon. Without this, EPC cannot happen. Therefore, even they introduce the policy, mandate, instruct, or direct, the Ministry of Agencies still cannot be done. Then on the procurement, on the payment. Another one, this is quite interesting. Another one, the procurement process, the technical requirement for tender. Okay, for EPC to happen, these two items, basically three items. Okay, procurement process, the payment. Okay, and then procurement process, the technical requirement for tender, and then contract document. Okay, these three there must be some kind of modification or changes. Okay, changes. Because if we cannot use the current infrastructure project-based approach, technical requirement where the government spend the money, okay, the government allocate the budget, and then all the contracts for the typical project, tender project, the government spend the money, you cannot follow that for EPC projects. This is very important. This is what happened in other countries in Europe. Why they standardize the contract? Because the contract, they got some feature which is totally different compared to the normal contracts for the projects where government spend the money. spend their budget. Okay, because they must modify the current technical project-oriented process and requirement to enable EPC model implementation without compromising the output objective of the projects. That's why, again, whatever changes made, it shouldn't compromise the delivery and the output of the projects. In terms of comfort, all that, you cannot compromise with that. Okay, the major element in that, in the technical part, basically, the criteria of the selection of ESCO. This is often being misunderstood because I came across a few meetings and discussion, right? Even some tender process. I did participate last time, a few tender process as a payer, okay, for government facilities. You know, they still, you know, thinking about like how they assess normal projects. For example, okay, they issue the request for proposal, and then they ask the interested ESCO to submit their initial proposal. Okay, and then they want to select what the common requirement they wanted to have. Basically, they wanted to have the savings, projected savings from that initial proposal. It cannot be done because in the EPC model, the most important part is the selection of the most qualified ESCO to go to implement the EPC projects. Because, you know, identifying the potential is a part of the ESCO task after they're being appointed to implement EPC projects, for EPC projects. Therefore, when they ask for the detailed solution at that proposal stage without ESCO conducting the investment grade energy audit, all right? So it make it, you know, impossible. Okay, this is what I came across. Somebody said, when I came to some of the discussion, they said, oh, this is the current procurement requirement. I understand that. That's the current procurement requirement. But for EPC, this is where you need to do some changes. Okay, okay, this is my point. Because they have to understand EPC model is different. Okay, and then so there are a lot of things. I think we can have a one-day session just discuss about that, but it's okay. But my point here, they have to understand the requirement for the EPC to happen. For example, in the selection of the ESCO is different compared to the selection of contractor to implement the project or to build the building. It's not the same. You cannot just, if you issue the tender, you give the BQ and then they give you all the detailed proposal. And then you can select all the costing, pricing, all that. EPC is not. Okay, EPC, you select the most qualified ESCO to do the job. Because the moment you engage them, basically, they will have to do everything to come up with a detailed proposal in terms of the solution, in terms of the investment, in terms of all the savings and all that. Because if they couldn't get all that on their own costs, So because the concept of EPC, government, the owner or government don't spend any single cent. Single cent on the initial jobs, all right? And also single cent throughout the contract period. Again, I would like to reiterate here. EPC it's not like a PFI. PFI is government just don't put up the upfront cost. But government pay back through over the concession period. Still government spending their money. But for EPC projects, government don't spend anything for the ESCO to get back their money, to pay the ESCO throughout, from the start, the moment you engage the ESCO, until the contract ended. Because the government or the owner only pay the ESCO purely from the saving that the ESCO must prove to the owner based on the agreed term and conditions. Okay, so this is unique. Okay, it's different. This is where there must be some changes. Technical requirement in terms of selection. Another one, technical requirement of the current projects. I came across one briefing, I have to mention this, right? A briefing, one of the ministry at Putrajaya, they talk about possibility of EPC. And I heard one presentation by the Department of Works, one of the representatives. What they shared with me, they said, correct me, but this is exactly what I heard. I saw in the presentation. What they said, for example, for the lighting system, public lighting system, there is a requirement. Okay, there is a requirement. So every 6 years, the contractor must change all the lamps, regardless of the condition. So every 6 years, they have to change everything to the new one, regardless of the conditions. Therefore, if that some kind of technical requirement, there, impossible EPC to happen, because EPC, the owner, the ESCO will change whenever needed to ensure they can enjoy savings. Simple as that. After all, even though if the replacement by ESCO, not even using the government, the owner's money, right? Again, here, for technical requirement for tender, for EPC, it's different in terms of technical requirement for the project, technical requirement for the selection, even the selection of the ESCO. Not like a typical infrastructure project selection, where you got all the details and based on your BQ. The next one, contract document template. This is very, very important. Okay, I came across a few discussion personally. Okay, but hard for me to I can't say much. Okay, but somehow I was told that the drafting is ongoing. Okay, at the government level, right, on this part. Okay, there are some changes, but most important part here, if you see a contract, is little bit different compared to normal contract requirement. Okay, if you see the model where it's not the typical, supplier and owner kind of contracts, right? Where the supplier, where the owner, okay, can dictate all the term because they are spending their money. Because EPC model, the ESCO put up the money. So this just like a partnership, a strategic partnership to achieve common goal, to save energy costs and all other objectives. There might be some changes. They must modify the current contract. I think I've been involved in three so-called cycles of discussion about EPC contract for government building facilities. Unfortunately, I must say this. So the stakeholders, the players, national players invited at the early stage, okay, but our contribution suddenly stopped somewhere in the middle. And after that, quiet. Suddenly, we will send the so-called final draft of the contracts. And we have a look. And we compare all the inputs, all the consultation, all the discussion we have is totally, I would say, is ignored. Were ignored. So the contract purely become just like a typical contract for infrastructure projects, where the typical owner and supplier kind of relationship. Okay? So I won't say which department, but for me, that's what happened. So again, if that's, because you cannot impose, just like, you cannot put this engine to this car. So for this car to function well, the best, you must use its engine. So you cannot put engine for other car in this car to make this car function. Simple as that, the analogy, simple. Okay. Even though you are going to, because this because the way I look at it, if simple as this, if you all this, I think the technical payment, technical requirement for tender, this contract template, or that basically lies, again, this is the crucial part. This is the delay on this, we tell, honestly, directly, whether if this keep delay, means that if the whoever in charge, whoever involved in this so-called, coming up with this documentation, if you delay, it shows that do you really want to do it or not? Simple as that. They come to the question, if you keep, because if you insisted no changes needed, means that you don't want to change, for example, no changes is expected to happen, just adopt the old way, but somehow force EPC to come in, I would say it shows that, whoever involved, they are not interested. Because simply because they are not willing to change. We are not talking about compromising the output. We are talking about you cannot do new things the same way. Okay, simple as that. This is very, very important. So I hope personally, okay, this can be addressed. This is very crucial. This is basically the governance part of this EPC project. It want to happen in the government facilities. Okay, and then this is very good. So the 3 item: procurement process, payment to ESCO, procurement process, technical requirement for tender, especially the technical requirement throughout the contract period. Okay, and then the selection of the ESCO is different compared to the selection of typical contractor for normal projects. And then the contract document. The EPC contract must somehow enable EPC to happen. Okay, so it cannot impose infrastructure contract to make sure to allow EPC to happen. It won't happen anyway, because some of the requirement I won't mention it. You know, I think we can discuss further if you wanted through the official channel. All right, what exactly we need? What part is that exactly? Okay, so simple as that. Okay, and then this is one crucial part. I think the 3 items very crucial. If that not happen, okay, I think I would say, you know, we can forget about EPC in government facility, big scale, big time. It can happen here and there, but you know, in very discreet manner, because it's basically EPC. EPC model should promote transparency, and also I can, based on my experience, it will help the government to plug a lot of loopholes in terms of integrity issue. Okay, in terms of so-called, you know, the leakage. I give you an example. Okay, how to make EPC project feasible. In normal contract, in normal projects, how people can play around with the cost, right? Cost of the projects, either make it higher or too low or too high. You know, sometimes to make it too low just to get the job, and then they compromise the quality, or they make it too high. You know, they mark up the cost, you know, make it too high to get the maximum profit. Okay, and they have to all that hanky-panky there. But EPC model, I give you example. Okay, let's say if I'm the ESCO, okay, I want to play around. I want to make the so-called the projects attractive, the investment shorter, the payback. Okay, I try to use a so-called costing. I try to use a cheaper product, low quality. You know, and same time I'll put my money, right, to invest. Okay, I won't do it. If I'm doing, you know, I'm stupid, because if I use the low quality products, low quality equipment, okay, I may end up paying more in the replacement and maintenance during the contract period. It will eat up my profit. It will eat up my profit. Simple as that. Okay, and then another one, if I try to play around with the costing of the project, make it higher. Okay, I won't do it, because it will make the project even not feasible financially. It will make the IR lower. It will make the payback longer. It will make the project even not feasible financially. So who's going to fund my projects? Therefore, okay, some people don't like EPC model because looks like some party may lose some control. Actually, it's not. It's not. It's a matter of how a government sector and private sector work together to achieve common goal. You have to put aside all the so-called negative thinking. EPC by nature, it will make everyone or whoever involved try to get the best outcome, because if I'm the ESCO, I put up my money, I'm borrowing money from the bank. If I don't get the savings, I'll be in trouble. It's my obligation to make sure the project works. For normal projects, you know, normal infrastructure project, what normally they do. Even the repair works, you know, defects. The contractor often try to delay until beyond the liability period, because after that they can charge. Right? Okay. So, but for EPC model by nature, okay, all party involved try to get the best. Actually, the ESCO, because they have put their money there. If they cannot get the saving, they cannot get the payment. Simple as that. Okay, so this is very, very important. So this is my additional input on this. Okay, and then then the 3 main element, and then financing in Malaysia, banks are still not really into it. There are some, but you know, still not attractive. Same time, bank also don't have the capacity to assess the project. Okay, this is where later we talk about the needs of the centralized agency to facilitate the banks. Okay, Now the currently they got some loan being offered by MDV particular, okay, Malaysia Debt Venture, and also but the requirement is unreasonable because ESCO is not a asset-based company. ESCO are knowledge-based company. You know, that's why all this country they look ESCO differently compared to normal company. Okay, we are normally ESCO is a knowledge-based company. They don't have big building, large building because the investment not at their building, the investment not the investment at their client side. Okay, okay. So this is something, but all this again, you know, bank will start to understand more if you can have more EPC project can happen. They started to learn. They can see there's a potential for the investment portfolio. Okay, and then next one, we are proposing also what you need. Maybe government should set the revolving fund just like in Thailand. Okay, even in Australia, just to kick off EPC, just to kick off. Maybe after certain periods, and even for the banks, you know, the government work with the, can work with the banks to give certain low interest rate, government guaranteed, right, for certain period. For example, the last 5 to 10 years until the market become matured, and then the acceptance, you know, among the banks, everything. Let the market decide the rates. Simple as that. Or government come out, or government can come up with the financing through the revolving fund. Okay, low interest. Just to keep, just like how Thailand did. What's wrong? Why Malaysia cannot do it? Because it's been proven. Okay, been proven. Okay, and then so that it can get back the money. Revolving fund. Okay, more, and then of course even they can even charge minimal, you know, admin fee for that, for the ESCO who get that, you know, for the administrative or the staff and all that can be done. Okay, and then the next one, ESCO must be registered. There must be certain criteria for ESCO who wanted to be in EPC model, to implement this model. It cannot be anyone. There must be some kind of criteria governed by the government to ensure ESCO are being qualified, so that the market can pick ESCO that are being qualified. Otherwise, now anyone can claim I'm an ESCO, I can do EPC. Okay, and then the next one, they must have some kind of a dedicated agency. Okay, as a one-stop center for EPC project, a one-stop center for reference. Come up with the guidelines, criteria that assist in the tender process, you know, give the advisory, you know, look into measurement verification, okay, awareness and promotional activities and all that. Okay, and then the last one I would like to share here, promotion of the success stories. I'm talking about the actual project we open and a transparent process, so that people can understand, you know, we can understand how it works, you know, what protocol, for example, they adopt for the MNV, you know. We're not interested to know I don't think we can expose so much on the commercial part, right? But doesn't matter. But we need to know how does that, how the tender process, you know, how the selection process, how the selection criteria and all that, so that people, you know, the market can start to see, the bank started to see, and even private sector can start to see. Okay, so that's basically all the items that I believe, okay, in Malaysia we need to look into if we are serious to have EPC implementation in Malaysia to happen at a big time, you know, big scale, where it also can contribute to the economic growth of the country. And also on top of that, you know, if you save energy at a big time through a big investment, we save more energy in terms of kilowatt hour reduction. You also can contribute to achieving our sustainable development goal, right? Under goal number 12, which is the responsible consumption and production. Okay, we can contribute to the reduction of the CO2 emission or GHG emission of the country. Okay, so this is something that, you know, something good as well. And the best part of EPC model, government can do it, you know, can show the lead by example. Okay, same time they are not using any money. Okay, they are using any money, even though I'm not doing EPC anymore. But somehow I look at from the, you know, the big picture point of view, right? You know, if the industry grow, right, benefit to all. To everyone, not only to me, okay, to everyone, okay, to the market player, you know, to the government facility, you know, the government can save a lot of money, billions of money, you know, in terms of replacing the asset, and then create jobs, right, create jobs, and you know, all that CO2 emission reduction, all that, a lot of things, you know, a lot of even non-energy cost savings benefits, you know, that it can be enjoyed from EPC when we implement energy saving projects, you know, at a large scale, large investment kind of solutions. Okay, with that, I hope I shared long enough. Okay, so this purely based on my understanding and observation. Okay, I hope that one day we can look into this. Okay, whoever in this but involved in this, we can make it happen. Okay, because EPC is not something that rocket science kind of approach, right? Even the solution for the commercial building, actually in government sector, for EPC to happen, it's not really a rocket science kind of engineering. It's quite common and well proven, well proven, well accepted, even a lot of, I think all can be done by locals. Locals are more than competent, because I know some of my friends, they are doing EPC project in Thailand. Okay, they are doing EPC project in China. Okay, even in Japan. Okay, so means that Malaysians are capable. Okay, the issue now, are we going to provide the avenue for Malaysian to do for something for big for Malaysia or not? Simple like that. At the same time, ESCO also must back up. All right, ESCO must back up as well. ESCO must build the capacity, build the technical know-how, understanding about EPC. Because don't let, among ESCO, so the concept of EPC, how it can be implemented, right? So it's not really clear. So to do that, come to the association, come to MALAYSIA, we can assist to look into that, if you are not clear, on what EPC all about, how to make it happen. Because we have some members that are doing well as well for EPC project in the private sector. So the concept is the same. But the challenge, the government sector is different, because we have to overcome. We cannot put aside all this, all this procurement process and all that. So you have to follow all that, but I have to do it by book. But somehow we need to make it happen by doing some changes and needed modification to some areas for us to make it happen. Okay, with that, thank you very much. I hope this sharing is useful, so that we can see you again at the next video. All right, so you know where to reach me. Okay, so with that, until we meet up again. Okay, thank you very much. All right, so this is my sharing. So if you feel this this sharing is useful, okay, very useful, you can share this video, and also you can subscribe to this channel. Okay, in this channel, basically, I share 2 items. One about my career, energy efficiency, related energy efficiency. Secondly, I share about my healthy lifestyle. Okay, so that's me. Okay, so with that, thank you very much again. So we hope to see you next video. So please share and subscribe then. Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and salam sejahtera. Okay, goodbye.